This is the stepping razor, the art of war. You know, we have so much things here to tell the people this week that it's not funny, you know. All right, we want to bring your attention to something something brought to my attention. We want you look big here, yes? Big here, Carl, I say, Vota, I want you listen to something, I want you read something. All right, there is a ritual that is used by a group of Jews. Them call it Metzatzas. Metzitza. Metzitzaah. Metzitza. And what it is, and I'm going to read it out. It's carried out by the Talmudic Judaism. And what it is a rabbi, and you know the Jews them deal with circumcision. For those of you who don't know what circumcision is, tough luck, go up on the internet, find out, and ask Brian what is circumcision. Because Brian, I don't even know what circumcision is neither. Brian, you know what circumcision is?
No, sir.
See, that Brian don't know nothing, you know, everything he said to Brian said, no, sir, he might keep safe, you know. It's a safe brother, that you know. It's safe. No, you think him don't know? A safe, he might play safe. If he said somebody gonna make him lose him, what? You can't lose it, you answer me, you know. Crack know where circumcision is, because crack the whole heap of it. Crack the whole heap of circumcision, believe you me. Yeah. You don't have to show me, Rasta. We have to go to things that I show. People, if we never see a crack in the hand, if we never see a crack in the hand, to show me what the circumcision. Anyway, for those of you who know what circumcision is, and it is a Jewish thing, really. And what it, and what we call it, Metzitza. I want to pronounce it right, you know. Metzitzaah. Metzitza. What it is a rabbi who carries out genital mutilation, because that is really what it is. Because you have female mutilation in Africa, in India, and cross certain places in what them call the Middle Eastern countries, where them cut off the woman's genitals. It's some man, me don't know why them do it, but it's to help the woman not to have any feeling, any sensitivity towards sex. Now, the circumcision of the male is more prevalent. People find all sorts of excuses to tell you why you must circumcise your picnic and all them something there, which to me is foolishness. Circumcision to me is foolishness, and the only reason why I hold my people hold it off is because it's in the Bible and it's a Jewish tradition. Well, this genital mutilation puts the freshly circumcised penis of the infant. This is where the rabbi do. After him done cut off after him done have the circumcision, him put the infant penis in her mouth and suck it until the blood stops flowing from the wound and the child's penis. So this is a ritual now, you know. What them do, after them cut off the penis, the tip of the penis, the rabbi suck out the blood out of the penis, the flowing blood out of the penis. It's an oral tradition. It's not all of it's not every Jewish people practice this thing, but the reason why I bring it up is because it come to the attention in New York, where them was coming down on the mayor in New York to make it legal, which is a kind of to the normal person is a kind of homosexual pedophile practice. We want to talk to. Alright, make we hear this thing. Make we hear this thing before we talk to the rabbi or so. Because we have a rabbi where we want to talk about this thing in Jamaica. Because as we say, it is not a practice that is done all over the world, but we want to play this.
Disturbing allegations are surfacing in a very unexpected place. A man who was supposed to bring joy and holiness to the Jewish ritual of circumcision is now accused of something unthinkable, spreading a deadly disease to innocent babies. News 12's Tara Rosenblum joins us now with her special report, Cradle of Secrets.
It's a topic that not many people want to talk about, but an unlikely whistleblower, a young Orthodox Jewish woman, is now speaking out, claiming a local rabbi is infecting babies, making them sick. And what's worse, she says no one is doing anything to stop him. For centuries, when a Jewish baby boy is born, the ancient ritual of circumcision is performed. But in some ultra-Orthodox communities, religious leaders, known as moyals, also engage in something controversial during the bris. In a practice known as Metzitza Bepeh, or just MVP, the moyal actually uses his mouth to suck the blood from the infant's penis after he cuts off the foreskin. Meant to prevent infection and serve as a celebration of life, News 12 has learned the little-known practice has turned into a curse for life for some babies involved in our area. And it's all because of a local rabbi who's alleged to have a sexually transmitted disease.
The rabbis are going to take care of it. They won't let him get away with it.
According to these documents we obtained from the State Health Department, Rabbi Yitzhak Fisher of Muncie has been tied to at least 3 herpes infections in babies, one of whom died back in 2004. Shortly after the tragic death, Rabbi Fisher was forbidden from practicing NBP in New York. But despite this state-issued ban, one concerned mother tells us the infected moil is still placing innocent lives at risk.
Okay, so we can continue it, but we want to really have a reasoning with a rabbi from Jamaica, really. We have Dana Evan Kaplan. He's the rabbi of the United Congregation of Israelites in Kingston, Jamaica, and former rabbi of Temple Banai, Israel in Albany, Georgia. He also teaches Judaism at the United Theological College in Papine. He's the author of the just released The New Reformed Judaism, Jewish Publication Society, as well as 5 other books. Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, good afternoon. It's great to talk to you. I'm a fan of your poetry, of course.
Okay, give thanks to that. Okay, now, this is a very disturbing news here, and the reason why I call upon you is because even though we have heard that it's a section of Judaism that practices this Metzitza.
Correct.
Ritual.
This is primarily a problem among a very specific group of extremist Orthodox Jews who have their origin in Hungary. And after the Holocaust, the survivors, many of them moved to New York. And they are continuing to practice and something that was done a long time ago, but which is unhygienic and thereby dangerous. So let me explain very briefly. Metzitza Bepeh means oral suction. And this is where the ritual circumciser puts his mouth directly on the circumcision wound of the 8-day-old boy to draw blood away from the cut. And this should not be done. So what they are doing is dangerous and needs to be completely stopped. The justification for this is a misunderstanding of the Talmud, where it gives a series of steps that should be taken, including what is called in Hebrew metzitza. Metzitza is suction, and originally it was done with the mouth, but today you can do it with a surgical sponge or with a one of those suction things that when you go to the dentist, or in many other ways according to acceptable medical procedures. And so this needs to be completely stopped and as soon as possible.
All right, let me ask you a question now. You talk about the Talmud and that this is an old-time way. There's a more modern way of doing this old-time thing. Are you saying that what they are doing is not necessarily wrong, but it's just that we have more modern ways of doing this thing?
Well, what they're doing is definitely wrong, because we know that it's putting the babies at risk. In New York State, there have been at least 12 cases of infant boys affected with herpes simplex 1 after Mitzitza B'Peh was performed. And 2 of these babies died. 2 others suffered brain damage, and there's almost certainly other cases that have not been recorded. So it is wrong. But when this practice may have been done many hundreds of years ago, it was actually, according to Rashi, the medieval commentary, done because it was believed to be of health benefit, that getting the blood that was right at the wound out was considered to be important medically.
All right,
they're doing something that was originally done because it was believed to be to make it healthier, and they're doing something which we now know they're doing it a certain way, which is bringing great danger.
Yeah. All right, in the Talmud, what is it in the Talmud that recognize this ritual as something legitimate by God?
Well, the ritual by God is from the Torah itself, the 5 books of Moses in the book of Genesis, and in chapter 17 of Genesis, God says to Abraham, "This is my covenant, which you shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every male among you shall be circumcised, and you shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of a covenant between me and you, and he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised."
All right, so this
is part of the concept of building a covenant. So it's a religious concept. It's designed to be holy and spiritual and beneficial to everyone, and it certainly wasn't designed to bring potential disease and death.
All right. All right. Circumcision, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. It is said that God gave this law that all the children should be circumcised. Do we know right now in this modern time, what is it that God was trying to bring across when he said that all the children should be circumcised? And if we know that circumcision is still supposed to be practiced, why is it that the idea of sucking on the penis of the young child is not something that is necessary in this time? Because we're talking about modern dating now. And
correct.
What I am hearing is that the sucking on the penis is not necessarily a modern dating, because we have other ways of doing it. Why is it that circumcision is still practiced then?
Well, I mean, this was a debate, when Judaism modernized 200 years ago. There were a significant number of Jewish thinkers who said, well, let's reformulate Judaism without circumcision. The consensus eventually developed that it was such a strongly entrenched social thing that Jews identified with it so strongly, and they associated so intensely with the covenant, that it was something that we decided to keep. Now, Jews are not saying to other people, you need to get circumcised. It's many doctors believe it actually carries some medical benefits, but other doctors say it has certain deficits, as you pointed out before I came on. So whether a certain Jamaican will decide that he wants his son circumcised or not is a completely personal decision. It's a medical decision. It's not something I, as a rabbi, am going to even give advice on. But for Jews, it's something that it's part of our identity, and it's part of our religious theology. And so if someone wants to convert to Judaism, we would feel that it's a sign of commitment, and we even in Reform circles, where we were more flexible on the issue, we kind of still expect that. And of course, adult circumcision is a much, much more difficult thing than infant circumcision.
So what would be what is actually the benefits of circumcision medically?
Well, I'm not, of course, a medical doctor, but what I understand that it does reduce the incidence of penile cancer. It does reduce the probability of being able to receive certain sexually transmitted diseases, including HIV. So it potentially could help one to avoid cancer and or HIV, so that in itself is significant, potentially. But I'm not the final word on the medical benefits.
Okay, and you couldn't say what is the benefits of not doing it then, since you can't tell why.
I believe that those who advocate, and there are even within the Jewish community, there are people who believe that it should be stopped as well, and they would argue that it's potentially losing sensitivity in sexual activity, and therefore, and it's unnecessarily mutilating a body part. That if God wanted us to be circumcised, He would have had us born that way, and that it doesn't make sense that God would have us be born in a way that needs to be immediately corrected. So you could make those arguments if you want. Some of the theorists talk about the idea of circumcision in terms of the anthropological concept of the savage, and that this was sort of a very primitive rite, or in Freudian terms that it has a fear of castration. All of these things are ways that some people have interpreted this. So it's a really controversial activity or practice that nevertheless is so ancient and so central to the concept of covenant that we just have decided that it remains an important ritual practice for us.
All right, let me go back to the Metsitsa. The Metsitsa. Would you say that the Metsitsa ritual is a homosexual pedophile practice?
I don't know anything about it. I've never seen anything like that done. No one I know has ever had that. It is in a very different circle.
I can refer you to some pictures with it being done. I can refer you to some videos.
Oh, I know it takes place, but I don't know any of these people directly. So I don't know what the motivation of the Moel, the person doing the ritual circumcision, was. I can only assume that they're so rigid in their understanding of tradition that they are insistent on doing exactly what was done in the old country, in their case Hungary, without any change, even though it can be easily demonstrated that this is not a part of the Jewish religion. It was a practical step to implement something in the Jewish religion in a time when it was felt to be the best way to do it, many, many hundreds of years ago, and that they simply cannot understand that religion needs to evolve in the most basic sense, that if something is found to be harmful that was intended to be beneficial, you need to find a different way to do that ritual. And so these are people who are very rigid, very fundamentalist, very entrenched in their mentality, and it's a sad way of looking at the world. It's a sad way of looking at life, and in this case, it's actually putting infants at risk.
So what that shows that even in Judaism, they are fundamentalists.
Yes, and I mean, as someone like yourself who was formerly Catholic, correct?
Yes.
You are familiar with Christian fundamentalists, and we all hear on the news about the Islamic fundamentalists.
But you never hear about Jewish fundamentalism.
I'm in there with you. We have our own fundamentalists.
You have never heard of Jewish fundamentalism. We heard of Islamic fundamentalism, never Jewish fundamentalism. But as you say, this is one of the Jewish fundamentalism that you as an Orthodox rabbi will not accept.
Me as a Reform rabbi would not accept this. No, of course. All practices need to be done in the most medically up-to-date and hygienic manner, that any circumcision that we would do in Jamaica under our auspices of the synagogue is done by a pediatric specialist who is an expert in circumcision of infant babies and would be done in the most hygienic and medically acceptable way possible. Okay, sir. Well, give thanks to clear up that about the Jamaican Jewish community, and to know that this practice of sucking on the young child penis is not acceptable in Jamaica amongst the Jewish population. Give thanks, sir. It's a pleasure. Great to talk to you. Yes, sir. This is the Stepping Razor. We was just talking to Donna Evan Kaplan. He's a rabbi of the United Congregation of Israelites in Kingston, Jamaica, and former rabbi of Temple Banea, Israel in Albany, Georgia. He also teaches Judaism at the United Theological College in Papine. We were talking about the practice of Metzetza. It is a practice where the rabbi perform the circumcision of a young child, sucks on the penis of the child to stop the blood flow. But we have also heard that rabbis have been giving disease to these young children. We're going to play about this tape and play the whole of it before we go to the break here.
Disturbing allegations are surfacing in a very unexpected place. A man who was supposed to bring joy and holiness to the Jewish ritual of circumcision is now accused of something unthinkable, spreading a deadly disease to innocent babies. News 12's Tara Rosenblum joins us now with her special report, Cradle of Secrets.
It's a topic that not many people want to talk about, but an unlikely whistleblower, a young Orthodox Jewish woman, is now speaking out, claiming a local rabbi is infecting babies, making them sick. And what's worse, she says no one is doing anything to stop him. For centuries, when a Jewish baby boy is born, the ancient ritual of circumcision is performed. But in some ultra-Orthodox communities, religious leaders, known as moyals, also engage in something controversial during the bris. In a practice known as Metzitza Bepeh, or just MVP, the moyal actually uses his mouth to suck the blood from the infant's penis after he cuts off the foreskin. Meant to prevent infection and serve as a celebration of life, News 12 has learned the little-known practice has turned into a curse for life for some babies involved in our area. And it's all because of a local rabbi who's alleged to have a sexually transmitted disease.
The rabbis are going to take care of it. They won't let him get away with it.
According to these documents we obtained from the State Health Department, Rabbi Yitzhak Fisher of Muncie has been tied to at least 3 herpes infections in babies, one of whom died back in 2004. Shortly after the tragic death, Rabbi Fisher was forbidden from practicing NBP in New York. But despite this state-issued ban, one concerned mother tells us the infected moil is still placing innocent lives at risk.
They should be arresting Rabbi Fisher. He should be in jail for murder, for homicide, for infanticide.
This outraged parent, we'll call Rena, who asked us to disguise her face and voice, claims she can prove Rabbi Fisher is still practicing MVP. She says she very recently secretly recorded a phone conversation with him in which she requested the rabbi to perform the controversial service.
Nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. I can only do interruption practice. That's perfectly okay.
But at one point during the call, Rena questions the safety of oral suction and references the recently reported death of a baby in New York City just last September.
The baby passed away on respiratory. It took them 5 months for the health department to convince the medical examiner to add the word oral suction to record the death. The medical examiner did not want to do it. But the newspaper picked it up and was enough to make the issue.
Were you shocked when Rabbi Fisher told you that?
Shocked is an understatement. It's unbelievable that this goes on, and this man is maiming and killing children, babies.
Yet we found no shortage of Hasidic Jews in Muncie willing to defend the rabbi.
Everybody knows he's an honest person.
And his actions.
We used him and his son in the past, and we've been very happy with him.
Traditionally, it's the right thing to do, and we think he's a good person and he's doing it right.
This is a part of our law, what we have to do.
Not so, says Rabbi Yehoshua Krohn.
It makes me cringe.
The fifth-generation Moyle lives just minutes away from Rabbi Fisher, who practices MBP in a very different way.
Judaism mandates that we do this mitzvah, this commandment, but in a way that is na'im, which is sweet, meaning that there is no hurt. The point is that there is no harm to the child. In religious circles where they want the metzitza b'peh, we use only the tube. And for those that want it over and beyond the tube, we'll call someone who will do it that way for them.
But you never know when that someone else could have a sexually transmitted disease. Just last month, yet another baby got infected with herpes after undergoing MBP in Orange County. Now, Rena is on a mission to spread awareness about the dangers of oral suction, something her own son went through without even knowing.
Thought-provoking, always smoking, lyrics like a bazooka. You are listening to Muta Baruka.
We have a big conversation at the studio with the Christian, but we want a female perspective on it. Jackie want to weigh in on the conversation, so we're going to give Jackie a chance to talk. Jackie want our circumcision, and the reason she think that the reason why them used to do it and why it's not relevant in this time. And she's not talking from a crack perspective. The crack is saying, according to the New Testament, Christ said there is neither male nor female, circumcised nor uncircumcised. So you don't need circumcision now because the fulfillment of Jesus Christ. Now, Jackie's not coming from a religious perspective. She's coming from social perspective. All right. What is about it now?
Well, I think it started as a means of trying to keep people disease-free and clean because there was lack of water. I'm not really a religious person, but from my understanding, there are people were in the wilderness. These Jews were in the wilderness for many years and stuff. So, in other words, that was a very sensitive part of the body. And that part of the body would always kind of warm and, bacteria could easily, develop there. So they had to create this idea of circumcision so the penis could remain dry. So because of all that moisture that is there as a lubrication, that's necessary. So now that, times are modern and people know how to clean themselves and there's water and all that to do, that is no longer necessary. What has happened now as a result of people perpetuating this circumcision is that the men have now lost their sensitive part of their sexual the sensitivity of having sex. So you have to use the woman's body now to create that lubrication. So the woman now has to play both parts. The man had his own lubrication, the woman had hers, so he could work together in unison. Now the man now is now depending on the woman to give him this lubrication so they can act out for hours. And now what has happened now is that it's now become a culture where the abuse of the woman has to be treated like an animal before she can be satisfied, because the backlash of having been circumcised is now this hard, rough treatment. So the women think it's a natural thing. So, so it's become so physical, perversion comes from that, because now for the man to get what he wants, he has to, all this lubrication.
Can't it long.
Yeah, well, yes.
Alright, so you have say, the one who's not circumcised,
yes,
have a tendency to be more tender.
Of course.
In sexual
a man that's more circumcised has definitely is definitely a more tender kind of person, because he can work with himself. He doesn't have to depend. He's not like looking for a.
Yeah. When him do have it, him have to create that.
Yeah, he has to create it. Yeah, he has to create it. Yeah.
And as the man say, there's an argument that's saying if God did
So now what's happening now? What's happening now? The woman now has to be using her mouth as a lubrication too when other things can't work, and that's also another. So all this kind of crazy stuff is happening. Yeah.
You know, the man said a while ago that the tendency is to feel that if God make you with a
If God made you perfect.
If God made
you perfect, so why would you want to remove
Why would He want to make you without a penis?
Right, that's why God had nothing to do with it. It had to do with just people trying to keep clean. People trying to keep clean and trying to figure the best way.
All right, look like Mark coming up to go up on the key side. Mark coming up for Rasta. Are you on subject this Mark? All right, give thanks.
Okay.
Give thanks, yes. Yeah, this is a serious reasoning. I don't know if Cabo upstairs listening, cause you know say Cabo, we work under Cabo all the while, you know. Cause you know say Cabo over here, so now. Yes, we always under. I love work under her still. You know, it gives me great honor and pleasure to work under Cabo. But I wonder if Cabo want to take it up on our sex-wise program. Maybe she talk about this many times already, cause I don't know if there's any subject that she don't deal with. But this Metsitsa is a one where we really want to emphasize. Because I don't think most Jamaicans didn't know about it. The Metsitsa ritual. Most Jamaicans don't know about it. Say them usually have that ritual where them suck on the little child penis to stop the blood flow easily. Well, this is the stepping razor, the art of war. Click it.